Hello, everybody, and welcome to Barbie's Football Banter Factory. And today is just a daily roundup of all the top 6 clubs in the Premier League. I figured I'd do something different. I figured I'd do something, well, not too different, but a little bit different in terms of it's going to be a longer video, and I'm just going to talk about where each of the top 6 teams are, in my opinion, what they have to do to get better, and where they are and what they're doing that's right and wrong, and everything else with the life of their football club, basically. And yeah, I'm gonna start with Tottenham. Let's start with Tottenham. Not so hot. They're looking hot, aren't they? You know, Tottenham Hotspurs. How have they done so far? I think they've done perfectly. You know, let's look at their table, the Premier League table, and what Tottenham are all about. And Spurs are second in the table. They have won 5 games, drawn 2, lost 1, 19 goals scored, 9 conceded with a goal difference of 10. And man, oh man, they look good, don't they? Harry Kane playing in that deeper role, playing in that position where he's flourishing. It's not actually deep role, he's still playing up front, but he's dropping deep. He's actually been doing that for a while, but for some reason the media's kind of caught on now. But he's excelling. He's playing magnifique. He's playing magnificently. He's playing a perfect number 9 role. He's linking up. He's putting through balls for his 2 wingers, and he is scoring. He is assisting. He's being the main focal point, and he is definitely one of the best players. Make sure you always drink your water. One of the best players in the Premier League, and his connection with Son Heung-min, Son Heung Messi, Sonaldo is very good, and it is so good that they are. It's not just them; it's the whole squad, but those 2 in particular, the firepower they provide makes them a title contender this season. And their Europa League campaign has been it's been a good start. They had that one surprise defeat to Ant-Man and the Wasp Antwerp. Apart from that, it's been a good season. The starting of the season was not very good when they lost to Everton, who were the surprise team in the Premier League early days. Mourinho kind of blamed it on fatigue. The media kind of criticized him for that match, but ever since then they've been looking up. And I've watched a lot of their last games. They've won the last 2 games I watched. Last 4 games I've watched of Tottenham. That included the win against Burnley. Burnley 0, Tottenham 1. They lost to Antwerp. Then they won against Brighton, I believe, at home. Yes, that's Brighton. And then they won against West Brom. I did not see the game against Ludogorets, but I did see the game against West Brom. And one thing is for sure, they're not scoring the amount of goals that they were early in the season. But what they are doing, and which is what is worrying me, is they're grinding out results, and that's not something you normally associate with Spurs. When they play well, they win. When they don't play well, they usually don't get the results needed to stay in a title race. And that, to me, is worrying, because that's the Jose effect. Essentially, that is what it is. It's the Jose effect. And when I have to reflect and think, I think that they're in the title race. The more I think, the more logical it is. They are in the title race, and a lot of people are going to say they're going to Spurs it up, and I'm going to hope for that. But realistically, they are definitely in the title race. They are 100% legit in the title race. They have the squad. Let's have a look at their squad, shall we? Let's do a deep down of Tottenham Hotspurs. Let's go to their transfer market page and have a look. Or maybe let's just go to their official website. I think that's the best thing to do. It's Media Watch. No, I want to see the squad. Let's have a look. Okay, wait. Squad. Yep, there you go. So the first team, picture of Harry Kane with Lucas Moura, Reguilon. So, yep. Look at this squad. Hugo Lloris, one of the world's best still at this age. He's a bit error prone. We know that, but he is a match winner when it's required the most. Defenders, Matt Doherty, a very capable attacking right back. Sergio Reguilon, one of the best young left backs in the world. It's not really young; he's 24, but he is one of the best left backs in the world. I can't believe they were able to get him off Manchester United. I know that there's a buyback clause that Madrid have, which they're likely to get him back, probably because Marcelo's getting at that age. But that's still 2 or 3 years from now. For then, they have a very capable left back, Alderweireld, a very experienced center back. Now, this guy I want to talk about, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Now, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg is, in my opinion, a fantastic addition, a very underrated, a very thorough, a very calculated decision by Jose Mourinho and Tottenham Hotspur, their scouts, to get a central defensive midfielder that probably fits Mourinho's ideals in terms of football. And he is the kind of guy that he's not spectacular, but he's such a hard worker. He's got a high ratio of tackles that he makes in the Premier League, and he's an experienced campaigner in the Premier League. He's been at Southampton for a couple of years, so he knows the business. Now looking at the firepower, man. Harry Winks, another option in midfield. Davinson Sanchez, a good young defender, and look at this, man. Look at this. Heung-min Son, Gareth Bales, Harry, England's captain Kane, Lamela, who's a bit of a squad player, but he can do a job. Joe Hart, not a bad option to have as a backup goalkeeper. Young defender Joe Rondon, I think they got him from Swansea. Eric Dyer, central center back. Moso Sissoko, another defensive midfielder in Mourinho's mold, box to box. He can do a job. Leselso, a playmaker. Now he might need to have a big season for Tottenham if they want to win the league for sure. Dele Alli, I don't think he's going to be in the fringes of the squad. But again, at least for this season, or at least until January, that's good. You know, that's squad depth. They have options in the middle, on the flanks. Look at that, Bergwijn, and he's not even been playing that much, apart from Europa League games. Serge Aurier, another right back. Now I don't rate him personally. He does make a lot of mistakes, but he's an option for sure. Tanganga, I didn't know he was English, but he's another good. I always thought he was French. But he's another very good young defender. Lucas Moura, Ndombele, man, that's a good squad, man. Look at the names. These are fantastic players. A lot of them are very good players. You know, if not world class, the level below world class, and they will be for sure within a shout. Ben Davis, Alfie White, that's probably the fourth choice. Carlos Vinícius, another clever addition in case Harry Kane picks up a knock for a game or two. Or is Vinícius right there on loan for one season? He can definitely do a job. And then Danny Rose, he's still in the team. I'm a bit surprised he's there. Again, they have players they don't even need, and they have a deep squad this season. It's players they don't need, players that are gonna compete for in the team, players that are gonna give them that edge in terms of goals, in terms of firepower, in terms of what they can go, in terms of also in midfield, defensively, they have options. Defensive midfield, they have options. That's what Mourinho likes. He likes hard-working midfield players. He doesn't necessarily rate creativity as much as maybe you and I do. But he's the master, and the results that have been happening with them, like the 1-0s, it's more a Mourinho thing than a Tottenham thing. If Tottenham played that badly, usually against Burnley, against Brighton, Brighton they were okay, but definitely against West Brom. West Brom were the better team for most of the game, but that's the thing with Mourinho teams. They get the result, and the quality comes through in the end. And I can see the pieces being put together and the pieces fitting in for them to go on a title charge. Again, let's look at the table. The table does not lie. Tottenham are second in the table 5 games, 2 draws. One of them was an absolute joke against Newcastle and a loss. Man, they look good right now, and they're definitely within a grasp of competing for the title. What could potentially go wrong for them? Now, as a Chelsea fan, I have to look at that and try to be optimistic in that sense. And the one thing is they haven't won. Harry Kane at this age, one of the world's best striker, has not been a champion. And that could work against them in a tight race. Remember, let's look at where Tottenham finished in the last few years. Because I remember, again, even against us, against Leicester, they were in the title race. Let's start from the Poch era. Tottenham were 5th in the first season. Then the second season, this is the year they were supposed to win the title, but they failed to do so. Look at the amount of draws, 13 draws, and that really cost them in the end. They finished 11 points behind. Well, the season was not like that. They were neck and neck with Leicester for most of the season. The season afterwards, now this was a big opportunity. I remember this season. They actually, look at this. They scored more goals and they conceded less goals than the team that went on to become champions, which was us. I remember they were an absolute nightmare that season. They played so well. They beat us 2-0 at their home and they were completely dominant in that game. But what it shows you is that they had the quality, but they failed to match the consistency of teams that became champions. That is a mental aspect more than anything. It's not to do with ability. They certainly have the ability. One thing they perhaps did not have in this season, rather than the season they were against Leicester, is maybe they didn't have the squad depth of Chelsea. But one thing, the main thing is the consistency that they missed out on, and that could be a deciding factor in this season. 17-18, they were 3rd. Again, this is now I think this was a missed opportunity. The 2 seasons, 15-16 and 16-17, one of those seasons was time for them to be champions, because that was Pochettino's team probably at the very best. I know they went to a Champions League final, but that was more with a broken team, a team that was more on the down than on the up. That's what happens. Sometimes Champions League is a cup competition. Sometimes it clicks for you, sometimes it doesn't. But that season it did. 17-18, they were 3rd. 18-19, I think this was the season they went to the Champions League final. I think, yes, this was the season. Again, 71 points. They lost 13 games. They lost a lot of games this season. Whereas previous seasons, the problem was draws. This season, 2018-19, they lost a lot of games. And I remember a lot of people who watch Tottenham regularly were saying that they were not as good as they were the previous seasons. But one thing they did have is experience, and they've been together for a while, and sometimes that kind of comes big in the Champions League. And they went to the Champions League final, and what a bore fest that was. But ultimately Liverpool won that season, and this was basically the end of Poch. They had that amazing run, 5th, 4th, was it 5th, and then second season they were 3rd, then 2nd, then 3rd. Then 4th, and then they kind of fell back out of the top 4, and which led to Pochettino getting sacked. Mourinho came in and did a good job, because remember, when Pochettino did get sacked, they were near the relegation battle. We know that they were not going to get relegated. They had too much quality, but it took some work for them to get back up into the picture for European places. But ultimately, they finished 6th. It was a big accomplishment. Look at their results near the end of the season: no losses, 3 draws, and 2 draws and 3 wins. Shows exactly the kind of consistency that Mourinho likes. And honestly, when Chelsea were winning league titles under Mourinho, it was like that. It was always 3 wins, then then a draw here, then another 2 wins, another draw maybe somewhere, and then the wins kept coming up. There was a consistent amount of winning, and the bad results were usually draws. The teams that Mourinho helped win league titles don't lose a lot of games. They hardly lose more than 3 or 4 games in the league season at best, and they do draw, but they win most of the games, and that is essential to winning a league. And that's how he has so many trophies, so many league titles in so many different countries. And you see the pattern here: 5 games, 2 draws, and a loss. No, that's championship mentality. That's championship form right there. and we have to consider them as as not favorite, but one of the title contenders for sure. They have a, I've read a lot of stuff online, and a lot of people make some valid points about how Tottenham's experience, like why they give Tottenham the edge over Chelsea, is because Chelsea is a younger team, and that's true. It's true. We are a younger team, and Tottenham, their best players are in the prime of their careers, in my opinion. Harry Kane is 27, 26. Heung-min Son is 28. A lot of their players, the crucial players, are in that age where they are expected to deliver, and it's now or never for Harry Kane, for Heung-min Son, in terms of the title. And this is a golden opportunity. I know Mourinho will be quietly very happy with what's happening. But that's Tottenham. Let's look at their North London rivals, Arsenal Football Club. So let's have a look at Arsenal's squad and see what's happened to them, where they are in the table. Their official website should do the trick. And Arsenal are, well, they're all the way down in 12th. 8 games played, 4 won, 0 draws, 0 losses, 9 games goals scored, 9 goals only. That's a problem. 10 goals conceded. Defensively, they look a lot better, though. 10 goals is not a bad number. In what was it, 8 games? They're not conceding that many goals, but they're not scoring. And now this is the problem with Arsenal. They are definitely, in terms of squad, much behind their rivals, North London rivals. Their goalkeepers, Runderson and Macy. Defenders, Bellerin, Tierney. I like Tierney. Bellerin, he's an experienced defender, but he hasn't really kicked on, has he? He's still making the same mistakes as he was when he was young. In fact, if anything, he was probably more energetic, and he had a lot more power when he was younger. Saliba, I don't know what happened to him. They spend a lot of money on him. He's a big investment for the future, but presently he's not playing for them. I do believe he's not in the Europa League squad, and he has not really featured in the Premier League. So I'm a curious one. Maybe, I know there has been some personal tragedy with him, and maybe they're trying to ease him in. Socrates, how is he still in Arsenal? He's not good enough for a top 6 team. He's still there. Gabriel, now he could be one of the signings of the season. He's been very good so far. Rob Holding, he has his limitations. He's a squad player, isn't he? You can't say that he shouldn't be in the squad. I can make a case for a player like Rob Holding, because he does give you good squad depth and an option, but he should not be starting for Arsenal. That I can say. Like, if Arsenal want to be a top 4 team, they have to do better than Rob Holding. Cedric Suarez, an experienced Premier League defender, good for squad depth. I guess Mustafi, no. I don't know what he's still doing at Arsenal. He's not good enough, quite simply put. He is not good enough to be at Arsenal if Arsenal want to challenge for top 4 places and ultimately the Premier League. And I can't believe they still haven't been able to move him on. Let's look at some Pablo Mari. He's still there. I haven't seen him play this season. David Luiz, he's a good player. He's still, despite the thing with David Luiz is, and this is what I don't like in terms of what the media does with players who are foreigners in this division. They highlight their mistakes and kind of paint it as them. Whereas you see with English defenders, they're consistently making mistakes, yet they're forgiven, yet they were not concentrated, yet there are all these excuses made for them. Whereas with David Luiz, for me, the pros are higher, of a higher quality than for someone like John Stone, someone like, I don't know, some English defender, Harry Maguire. For me, definitely, David Luiz's pros are a lot stronger. He can pass the ball, he can break a defense with his ability to ping balls, and he's a leader for sure, and he's a big game player. He usually plays well in the big game. So I understand why Arsenal would go with David Luiz, because he is still a fantastic player. He does have his issues defensively. I don't deny that, but I can understand. I can make a case for him in the squad for sure. Said Kolasinac, he should not be at Arsenal. He's another deadwood. Look at the amount of. I don't want to use the word deadwood. It's harsh, but I'm gonna do it anyway because I'm gonna be brutally honest. Like, they gotta find a better right back than Bellerin. They need to move on from these players. Socrates is not good enough. Cedric Suarez, you can make a case that he is a decent squad option. Mustafi should not be there. Callum Chambers should not be there. Pablo Mari, I don't really know what he gives. They have a lot of numbers, but none of them are particularly world class. They're decent players. Too many squad players. Way too many. Midfielder Saka, one of the best young players in the world. He will come good. Ceballos, well, I don't know how to feel about Ceballos. He's a decent player. He's a good player. He's better than a squad player. A lot of Arsenal fans, some of my Arsenal buddies think that he's better than Kovacic. No. That's not true. That is just not true. But he's still a good player. Mesut Ozil, he doesn't play. He does not. I don't even know why they included him here. That's a bit of a. It's a bit of an insult to Arteta, because Arteta kind of doesn't. Whether it's Arteta or the board, they don't look at most Mesut Ozil as an Arsenal player because he doesn't play. He's not in the squad. He's not in any of the squads, even though he's the highest paid player of the club or the second highest. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, he's a good young English player, squad player. Not much else, I guess. Maybe he has potential to be more. I don't know. He looks like he could be a good right back, maybe. But he's again a squad player. You can't really expect much from him apart from, filling the numbers and being a good athlete and being a good option. Thomas Partey, that's a good ambitious signing. But it's Partey and the rest essentially. Partey is the only world class player in this list. Now Ozil doesn't count because he doesn't play. So Muhammad El Neni, I've spoken about him before in great detail. He is a squad player, and that is all he is. Joe Willock, again another good young player, squad player. Emil Smith-Rowe, I have not seen enough of him to make a. And Granit Xhaka, is he the captain or he's one of the leaders of the team? Decent player. He's a little bit. I guess you could say he's a little bit better than a squad player. But again, the midfield, considering Ozil is not part of the team, is not as Arsenal's strongest point. In fact, they badly lack a world class or at least close to that level attacking midfield player. They have a lot of defensive-minded midfield players who are, let's be honest, not the best. They can do a job, but they're not top-of-the-line players, apart from Partey, who's amazing, and Saka, who's got a lot of potential. Forwards, Lacazette, Willian, Aubameyang. Lacazette is past his best. I feel like he's getting more in decline now. I don't remember Arsenal let go of Giroud for Lacazette, and I don't think that was a wise thing to do. Personally, I really don't, because if you want to get the best of Aubameyang, I feel like Giroud would be a better option, because Giroud gets the best of prolific players. Even though he will not be a prolific guy, we know that. Lacazette is missing a lot of sitters, and he's still playing, somehow, even with Aubameyang in the squad, as the central striker. I understand why sometimes managers do that. You see that in Chelsea when Werner plays out wide and Tammy starts in the middle. They like someone who's a traditional number 9 who can hold the ball up and do those things, and perhaps Laka offers that option better, but right now he's not in good form. Willian, I understand why they went for him, because he's a veteran. But as you've seen with Willian, he's very inconsistent, and he doesn't perform not nearly to the levels that you expect him to perform. That's as simple as that. There's no other way to put it. He's not the best. And let's look at now this is interesting. Nicolas Pepe. They spent all that 74 million for him, and he's hardly getting into the team. I would have thought Willian was brought in as cover for Pepe, but instead it seems as if Willian is the starter. And Willian does have this effect, We've seen it at Chelsea when he benched players that perhaps fans would have wanted to have seen start ahead of him over the years, but it was always Willian because of his hard work, his industry, and given the nature of how Arteta seems to me as a manager, he does like his his hard workers, his pragmatic players, his pragmatic approach fits up someone like Willian, and I see why he's put an arm around Willian and basically gave him free pass to play ahead of Nicolas Pepe. And Nicolas Pepe, for me, is right now a massive disappointment. A lot of it is not even down to him, it's because he doesn't get the game time. And if you, as a 74 million pound player, cannot get ahead of Willian, then, my friend, they overpaid for you. You must not be very good. And there's no other words. Awful. Needs to do better. Reece Nelson, squad player. Eddie Nketiah, squad player. You good young player, squad player. I can't expect much from them. They're not top of the line young players either. They're good young players, decent. Like Saka is a top of the line for sure. Martinelli, he's top of the line, I would say. But Nketiah, Reece Nelson, not so sure about them. On loan, that I'm not looking at players on loan. Even though, let's see who they've sent out on loan. This just to make sure. Okay, Torreira, Guendouzi, Mavropanos. Okay, they were not going to get in their team. Let's look at the table. Let's look at the results, actually. Arsenal fixtures. Okay. Now this is the interesting bit. So they started the season quite strong. Yeah, Fulham 0, Arsenal 3. I remember Willian had like 3 assists or something, and people were saying what a bargain and everything else. Arsenal 2, West Ham 1. This was when I saw some cracks, and by that I don't mean by the result, I mean by the performance. Arsenal were not very good. West Ham were actually the better team, but Arsenal grinded out a result. Leicester 0, Arsenal 2, League Cup, Carling Cup. I'm not even gonna. And this is where it started to go wrong. Liverpool 3, Arsenal 1. Remember, they actually didn't play badly in this game. They went with their backs to the wall approach, and they had their opportunities to win. They didn't. They weren't close to winning. They had their opportunities to draw. I think Lacazette had 2 big opportunities, squandered them, and then again they won the EFL Cup. Again, this was hyped up to be something very special, even though it wasn't. They beat Liverpool reserves, and the Liverpool reserves were dominating the game, and they had to beat them in penalties. That doesn't really say much. Arsenal 2, Sheffield 1 again. Sheffield United were actually decent in this game, and again they were not convincing, but they got a result. And you see the pattern. When you're always consistently grinding out results, eventually it will catch up to you. Man City 1, Arsenal 0. Man City weren't convincing, but they were better for sure on the day. Rapid Vienna 1. These are Europa League games. Do you expect them to win those? Arsenal 0. Now this is where it starts going a little bit wrong. Arsenal 0, Leicester 1. Leicester were... Actually, this game was... Arsenal were decent in the first half. The second half, Leicester were better. But Arsenal definitely had the chances in the first half. And Leicester basically counterattacked them quite well. Manchester United versus Arsenal. This was again a big result. So you see, they're in the big games. They are not doing that badly. They are actually performing admirably. They're winning by a goal or losing by a goal or maybe 2 goals. But they're not being thrashed or anything, and that's something that probably Arteta is working on to get their shape better. And let's just have a look at Arteta in terms of his philosophy. I saw this this image. Okay, I think this is the one. Yeah. Oh, the sun. Okay, let's have a look at this. So, this is what Arteta is working on. Essentially, goals scored per game is 1.7, which is a little bit off 1.8, but goals conceded per game is 1, where Emery is 1.4. Let's be fair to Emery, we are doing it with Emery. It's a lot more games played, and Arteta has just started. Both have a similar level of win percentage and clean sheets. Look at Arteta, even with half the games played, he's almost matched Emery's clean sheet. And that's something that Arteta is clearly working on. He's working on the defensive side of the game. He's trying to be compact, and he's trying to not lose games. And when you do that, you will suffer for creativity, because it's just the nature of how it is. Let's see if there's on other side. Okay, this is a better comparison, I feel. Okay, so this is an attacking. Okay, so yeah, this gives you a better idea of in terms of when they both played 26 games. Emery had 15 wins, 5 draws, 6 losses, with a 58% win percentage, with 53 goals scored, which is actually almost 2 goals a game, a little bit more actually, and that's a good amount of goals being scored. Conceded 37, and now look at this Arteta here: 40 goals scored and 28 conceded. So clearly, he's working on defending, on being compact. Look at the shots. 247 shots, guys, as opposed to 317 from Emery. You can clearly see a difference in philosophy. I mean, if that explains as much as you can. Possession 5% less than Emery, and they're both in the 50s. That kind of tells you that Arsenal don't have the kind of players they once used to have, to have 65% possession and things like that. Those kind of players they don't have anymore, so they don't dominate games as much more in terms of possession. They don't dominate the ball as much, whether it's under Emery or Arteta. But under Arteta, I think 52% possession is not a lot for a top 6 team. I think he's definitely focusing on playing without the ball, playing counterattack, playing organized football. And the problem with that is you lose out on creativity. Definitely lose out on creativity. Let's look at what Arsenal are doing in the future. They're playing Leeds United next. Big test against a free-scoring Leeds team. But I think Arsenal have this because Leeds United don't have a good defense. And if Arsenal play counter-attack, they will have the opportunity to win this game as long as they stay tight at the back. And then they have Wolverhampton, Tottenham. It doesn't get easy, does it? Wolves will be a big test for them. Tottenham will be that's a London derby, North London derby. Difficult match. Then it gets a bit easier. But then again, Burnley, I expect them to win. Southampton will be a tricky one. So it doesn't get any easier for Arsenal. It doesn't get any easier. What's the verdict? I think anything in the top half of the table for them is, let's say if they finish anything above 8, like last season they were 8th. If they can finish 7th or 6th, I think it's progress. Unless they go in January and buy the kind of players they need. They need a couple of world-class players. They need a right back who's world-class. They need a center mid who is creative and who can break the lines, who's world-class as well. They perhaps need to move on from Lacazette and get a winger maybe, or promote, or give or move Martinelli to the wing and move Aubameyang to the center. I would personally go for another winger because I don't think Willian is the guy, and I would move on from Lacazette, and my backup striker would be Nketiah, and I would go for at least a multi-dimensional forward who can play striker but can play out wide as well. I don't know who they would go for. I don't think they have the money. So given all these things considered, I think finishing anything above top 8 would be a acceptable season for Arsenal. Definitely. I think that would be, I don't know if Arsenal fans would be happy, but logically, from a neutral perspective, I would see that as progress. Because they don't have what it takes, bro, to win the league they don't have a top 4 team, do they? We've looked at their squad, like that's not a good squad. That's an average squad at best. They have some ballers, but the rest of them are just numbers, It's just, they're not good enough. They're young players who have to prove themselves. The one thing you can say about them is these younger players will get better, and as long as they can keep him within 3 or 4 years, they will be in with a shout for something special. But we're talking 3-4 years down the line because we don't know. Reece Nelson is young, Nketiah is young, Martinelli is young. I don't think you can expect them to be going for the top 4 of this league. This is a very competitive Premier League. Emil Smith Rowe is young. Willock is young. And the experienced players, a lot of them, are not very good. El Neni is an average player who's pushing above his weight. Pablo Mari, I don't think is that good. Mustafi, Callum Chambers, Cedric. Man, they have a lot of dead wood. They essentially have a lot of dead wood. Now let's look at us. Let's be happy for a while. Chelsea Football Club. Let's round off London. We're the best team in London. Yep. Let's have a look at our fixtures. Let's have a look at our squad as well. Wikipedia. Let's look at Premier League. So, Kepa Arrizabalaga at goal. He's obviously now our backup goalkeeper. He's not even our second choice, I would think. He's probably our third choice. Antonio Rudiger, again, he's been moved backwards as a backup center back. He's our first backup center back. Marcus Alonso, he's the same as Mesut Ozil. He's in the team, but he's not going to play. We know that. He's fallen out with Frank. Christensen back up again. Not a bad backup to have, but again, I don't like Christensen. I would personally move on from him. Jorginho, baller. I know ideally, me included, I would like Declan Rice to replace Jorginho long term, and I think that would be a good way to go. Jorginho is 28 still. He's not that old. He's still 28 is a good age for a center midfield player. He's been good this season. We can't lie that he's well worth his place in the team. Thiago Silva, baller. N'Golo Kante, baller. Tammy Abraham, baller. Christian Pulisic, baller, but injury prone, but an absolute baller. We need him to stay fit. We need him to play more frequently. Timo Werner has been balling. Actually, Timo Werner has had 12 games, 8 goals. Is fantastic numbers, but he can be even better. And that's saying something. That he's not playing to his best, but still scoring for fun. Willy Caballero, back up. Fikayo Tomori, I like him a lot, but he doesn't play as often as I would like him to play. Kurt Zuma, we're seeing the best of Kurt Zuma again. Like in 2015, Kurt Zuma is the kind of guy. He's the kind of guy that you need a leader around. Once you have a leader around, he's like fireworks. You gotta control the fireworks. Or he's like a fast car that you need what's it called? Those timers, speed, the thing that controls your speed, and that's like what Thiago Silva is. He's that leader who controls him. I like Kurt Zuma. Edward Mendy, Spider Mendy, my man, Spider Mendy. No words to say about him. He's 28. He's come and completely improved our team. Kovacic, another baller. Look at that. This is a strong team, guys. Olivier Giroud is a very good backup striker. You can't say it's very harsh that he's not in the team. Like what he did near the end of last season, he was scoring for fun, and his link-up play was very good. But he is not in the team. He's back up, and he's such a pro that he keeps working hard. Mason Mount, he is doing very well. He's a baller. I'm not gonna lie. Callum Hudson-Odoi doesn't get enough opportunities in my opinion, but still a baller. And he's a fantastic young player. Ben Chilwell has been balling all season. Hakim Ziyech, balling. Billy Gilmore injured, but he's probably our best young player. That's how good he is, Billy Gilmore. And he's also a baller. Reece James been balling. Cesar, Dave, the real Dave, Aspilicueta. Fantastic player. Nothing else to say about him. Captain, fantastic. Very good player. Right back, left back, center back. Can play everything, and he will be crucial in the run-in if we're to compete for the title. His experience will be absolutely. He can play DM too, as far as I know. I think he can easily. He probably hasn't played there, but he can play there. He's that kind of player. He's a versatile player. Kai Havertz, he's had a good start to the season. He hasn't set the world alight like Hakim Ziyech has. However, he's had a good, solid start to the season. And what I like about both Havertz similar to Mount, is their work rate. Insane amount of work rate for a guy that you would think is languid. Like people tell me that he's lightweight, and I was thinking, man, you're not watching him. He ain't lightweight for sure. He's a hard working player who puts his shift in. He really does. Like, you see someone like Ndombele and Pogba, they have all the technical qualities, and so does Kai Havertz. The difference for me, where Kai Havertz, in my opinion, is slightly ahead of them, is the work rate. And in the Premier League, that really matters. And Kai Havertz really works hard. So does Mason Mount. They work really hard. And that's why Frank has so much faith in them. I know he has COVID right now. Hopefully he gets better soon and starts for us. 10 games, 4 goals for an attacking midfield player. You know, he's not a striker. I have to. People in ESPN and other news networks, they keep referring to him as a striker. He can play there, but he's not a striker. He's a midfield player. He's a cam CM. He can occasionally play on the wing as well. But, you know, when we play the 4-3-3, he plays as one of the three in the middle, where he's given that creative freedom to go and express himself. But again, what I like most about him and Mount is they really work hard. And Frank is basically trying to mirror the formation that he played when he was at Chelsea, when he played in the 4-3-3 with either Ballack or Essien or Deco, and what he did. And they had to put their shift in as well. They were attacking players who had to put their shift in order to keep their place in the team. And that's what he's asking of Mount and Havertz, and that's what they're doing. We have options as well. We've got Kovacic, we've got Gilmore, we've got we've got options. Kovacic and Gilmore are very good options in that area. Maybe we can even Kante sometimes plays there. So does Jorginho. I wouldn't trust them there. We also have Tino Endrin. He's not in the name. I think it's in the under 21s, but he can be pushed up if needed. Emerson, again, another backup left back. He is officially our backup left back. I think Alonso is not our backup left back. It's a strong squad, guys. Like with Tottenham, this is a strong squad. This is a squad capable of challenging for the league. I'm being completely logical when I say that. I'm not being emotional. I'm not being a Chelsea fan who's looked at the amount of money spent and is going crazy. No, I'm looking at the entire team. Forget the money, forget net spend, forget all that. I'm just looking at the team, the individuals, the quality. And yes, remember, Petr Cech is not included in this list. He's in the team as well as our backup goal, as a fourth choice goalkeeper. That's a strong team, man. That should be challenging for the league. Absolutely, that should be challenging for the league. Let's look at our results recently. Let's look at it from the start. So we started with Brighton. We won 3-1. We saw the game, and then the Liverpool game, we actually played well in the first half, and then we got done near the end of the first half. Beautiful ball by, I think, Henderson, was it? And then Christensen gets caught, and I think for me that was the end of Christensen as Chelsea's starting center back. And then we won against Barnsley, was it the EFL Cup? West Brom. Now this was where the troubles were showing. This was basically the Kepa's funeral, I guess you could call it, the Chelsea goalkeeper. West Brom 3, Chelsea 3. The mistakes just kept, and also Marcus Alonso. Those two started, and I think that was it for them. And then Mendy got into the team, and Tottenham won, Chelsea won. We played well in that game, actually. A bit unlucky to lose on penalties. Chelsea 4, Crystal Palace. Now this is where it starts to click. Mendy started, and then we played very well, and then Mendy went on international break and picked up a bit of a knock, not a major one, and then Kepa started, and then again this happened, and we saw what Kepa did in this game, and that was it. I think that was basically it for Kepa. He hasn't been seen since, and it started getting better. Now this was a good result, 0-0. Even though on paper you can say you should beat Sevilla at home, they're a good team, and we kept a clean sheet. We were basically we had basically gone back to basics. Man United 0, Chelsea 0 again. We had gone back to basics, got to grind out a result, and now this is where things got good for us. And now I'm seeing us going only upwards from here. Krasnodar 0, Chelsea 4, Burnley 0, Chelsea 3, Chelsea 3, Rennes 0, Chelsea 4, Sheffield 1. We're just scoring a lot of goals, and now looks like we fixed our defense. There will be bigger tests. We go to Newcastle, where we haven't won in a long time. St. James's Park. They usually park the bus. They usually play on the counter. They usually do a smash and grab against us. They've smashed and grabbed against us a lot over the years. I've lost count. And then we have Tottenham. Like I said, international after the international break will give us a better picture. But we are in the table. We're to see where we are. We're fifth, 8 games, 4 wins, 3 draws, and 1 loss. 1 loss. That's actually that's an impressive part, because usually last season we would lose more. We would maybe win 4, lose 4. That would be us last season. But this season we've won 4, we've drawn 3, and 2 of the draws we should have won had we defended better. But that was a part of the learning process. And I feel like we're 20 goals scored, 10 conceded, similar to Tottenham. We're definitely in the title race. And yeah, man, this was a video for just the London teams. I'm going to just narrow it down to the London teams. It's been a long video. I just wanted to do a review of the London teams. Actually, the other top 6 teams as well. I'm going to get to the other teams, the northern teams. Manchester United, City, and Liverpool. But for the London teams, I think Tottenham and Chelsea clearly they're a step ahead of Arsenal. They are in the title race. Arsenal will be lucky. It will be a great season if they finish 4th. Amazing season for sure. But I don't expect them to, and I don't think they have enough. I'll get back very soon, talk about the northern teams. But yeah, man, we looked at Chelsea, we looked at Tottenham, we looked at Arsenal. I think it'll be a race between Tottenham and Chelsea, who the Kings of London are this season. I am hoping Chelsea can do it. I'm hoping Chelsea can go all the way and finish ahead of Tottenham, challenge Liverpool for the league. It is possible, but one thing where Tottenham has the advantage is Jose. He's been there, he's done that, and perhaps Frank hasn't. But man, it'll be interesting. I just think it will come down to margins. It will come down to those big games, and one of them is coming up very soon after the international break. So we're gonna have to get ready for that. Buckle up, because Chelsea and Tottenham are gonna face off, and we know it's a feisty fixture. They really do like to put the tackle in against us, and vice versa. We do as well. So yeah, I'm gonna get back and talk about the northern teams, the other part of the top 3. And until then, man, it was nice talking to you guys. Just hanging out, talking about London teams, where we are, what we can do, how we can improve. And yeah, man, it was just a good session to talk. And I'll get back to you. And until I get back to you, until then,